Hello, how's it going? So I'm pleased as punch because I tried something. I set up my A7S3 camera as a webcam, connected it to my OBS on my desktop, and I'm kind of shooting this right now. I've got a nice key light over here, a soft light Godox SL60, which has got a grid on it, it's got a diffuser on it. There's an Audio Technica mic here, and behind me there's an Aputure light with some effects that's giving some colored, kind of wash on the white walls. I've put my camera on manual, adjusted the aperture and the ISO settings and everything, and now it actually looks like a really, really good frame. This kind of looks like any influencer when they shoot in their studio and stuff like that. It's almost like that. I hope the audio is also pretty good. And because the Audio Technica mic here is excellent. If I could afford it, actually not if I could afford it. If I really wanted to be very particular, I could have got the Shure mic, which is around 30 grand, which is a really good podcasting mic. But this does the job really, really well. And if you look at this frame, it's actually lit up beautifully because there's background separation. There's a little bit of daylight actually, by the way, from coming in through the curtains. There's a color wash. There's, if you look at the lens, it's kind of soft focus, so it's diffused. So you're getting these discs in the background, which is called bokeh, which I've spoken about earlier in a video. And so all of these things are coming together really well. And I think it's lit up very beautifully. And this is, by the way, this is daytime. And that's the best part about, SLR cameras, because you can kind of adjust so many settings that you can get, exactly the exposure that you want. And also having control over lights really helps you to kind of set this up. So it's actually a pretty good frame. I'm really happy with this frame, and it's got enough depth. It's got enough, kind of texture. It's got enough focus on the lighting is focus on my face. The lighting is pretty good. So everything's pretty much going for it, especially at my kind of level of what I really want to do, be able to, just talk on camera. This is really, really good. I'm very happy with it. And by the way, I've set up my SLR on a tripod now, so it's very easy. I'm going to leave it there, the tripod that is, and it's very easy to kind of have a base plate on the camera and just mount it very, very quickly. There's a USB ready to be attached. So this setup is like, ready in 60 seconds literally, and I'm really happy with that fact. So, and the best part is that I can use this for live Zoom calls. And kind of wow a few people, because if I come on like this, it's going to be quite interesting for them to see do a Zoom call. Typically Zoom calls are on these wide angle webcams, and the lighting, the webcams are fine. Actually the webcams are fine. It's not so much to do with the camera quality and stuff like that, because even webcams these days, I have the Logitech 4K webcam, which is quite decent actually. It's really about having a little bit of control over the optics, the lensing, right? Obviously, which the SLR, not SLR, I keep calling it SLR. It's actually the mirrorless camera, but it's like the, full frame camera. And the idea is to have enough control over the lensing. So you can control the magnification, you can control the aperture, you can control all of those kinds of things very well. And then set up the frame that you want. So that really helps. I've set up that frame and it's looking really good. And you can, kind of go ahead and go on a Zoom call and impress people, or do these kind of recordings and put the video out there, which by the way I keep doing as a trial. So I know some of you might drift upon it because of so apologies for that. It's really for me and my friends to kind of check things out, but if it helps you, put in a comment in the comments box, and I'll answer whatever I can, because the thing is that I'm not like this super experienced photographer and all that kind of stuff. Of course I'm a trained professional, but of late I've not really been doing production myself. I don't film things myself for the last 20 years. So it's interesting. I know the principles, but it's nice to kind of, actually execute some of these things and kind of discover along the way what kind of combinations you need. Actually, the Aputure light I'm pretty impressed by, because it's a really tiny light and it has enough brightness and luminosity. I've got it. You are not able to see it, but if you look very carefully, there's a light stand here and I've put the light on top of it. And so it's kind of, hidden very well. You can't really see it unless you look, unless I tell you where to look. And so that's kind of putting the color wash. It's in the frame, but you can't see it because it's got your, it's turned in the other direction. I've got a, point of interest. This is basically a nice little framed scarf from the Tokyo Olympics. And, the curtains are nice from Fab India and stuff like that. The mic is kind of in front of my face, but not very distracting, but it's also very close to me. So audio should hopefully be pretty good here. And that's it. I think it's like a really good setup. Like I said, for Zoom calls or for recording stuff, I think the next time somebody gets on a Zoom call with me, I'm going to put this setup on. and I'm going to impress them, and kind of, they're going to be like, wow, what's going on? Like, this is really some influencers kind of setup. I think the next time I have a call with one of these influencers, because I work with them, so maybe with a Scout or a Kariminati or something like that, if I do that, I'm sure they'll notice and they'll point it out. And of course I'll just pretend like I'm cool, like this is what, this is how it's set up at home, and it's not really, I didn't make any effort to do this. But anyway, so this is as a quick workshop. I mean, if you want to know, there's a key light, which is a softbox, a Godox SL60, which has got a softbox on it, and it's also got a grid which controls the light a little bit, cuts it off the walls. I've got this Audio Technica mic, which is mounted on a Rode stand. By the way, the stand is absolutely beautiful. It's obviously not in the frame, but it's a very beautiful stand. It kind of cleans up all the wires and stuff like that. Really, really nice. I've got a Kodak tripod, which is basically a moving head. So, you can kind of pan and tilt and stuff like that. It's meant for video, but of course I just use it so that it's easy to kind of reposition the camera if I need. And it's got a base plate, and I've mounted the A7S3 camera on it. I've got a Sigma 2470 lens on it, which is really nice, 2.8 aperture, which is why I'm able to diffuse the background quite easily. It's at, I think, 800 ISO right now, so because I have to control the light and kind of make it dark, otherwise it's quite bright outside, it's daylight. And then what else have I got? That's the Aputure MC light. It's a really nice, by the way, I really love it because it's got a whole bunch of features. You can kind of program it. It has pre-programmed settings where it'll behave like lightning, it'll behave like a television in your house and all that. Basically it has effects, and you can use them to kind of, if you're making films or something like that, if you want like the suggestion of a television that's on, stuff like that, you can actually do that through that light. Very, very nice. Really good quality. I'm really impressed with it. I've got a couple of stands. I'm not Digitech, I think, I'm not really sure. They're relatively light stands, but enough for this kind of equipment. And that's it. And of course I've got OBS. I've got a nice Legion 7i or 5i, I think, laptop actually that I'm using, that I pretty much use as a desktop. I've got a nice screen though. It's a Dell professional monitor, and it's 27 inches. This is a really nice screen. And of course the rest of it is, I've got an Evo 4 mixer, by the way, for the audio. That really helps, because if you want to kind of put the mic in as a source and kind of route things and put in two sources at once and stuff like that, it really helps. I'm sorry for the disturbance. There's some drilling going on in the background. And that's it. So hope you enjoyed kind of watching this visual. And I really like it that the fact is that there's kind of this very whitish kind of light on my face. I've controlled the exposure this time. It's not, the last time I kind of recorded a video, the camera, the A7S3, is such a fantastic camera, and it's got such great technology that you pretty much put it on auto. But this time I've actually controlled it and put it on manual. So the exposure, if it's overexposed or underexposed, is my fault entirely, not the camera's. But I'm just experimenting. It looks fine on screen, and because this is a professional monitor, I can trust it. So let's see how that goes. And that's pretty much it. I'm recording in OBS, which is a fantastic free piece of software. I can't believe it's free. It's really, really good, and allows you to record multiple sources and set up screens and so on and so forth. And that's it. I'm recording this and editing whatever little bit I have to edit. I'll be putting it on DaVinci Resolve. By the way, I have the free version. I'm planning actually to upgrade to the Studio, because that has a bunch of features that are really nice. But as a free software also, it's quite powerful, very, very nice. The last time, I think there was some audio issue because I wasn't able to put the audio on both tracks. So it became a mono track, which was only coming through one channel or something like that. So the loudness wasn't great. Also, I've heard some tips and tricks about the loudness of the camera. The loudness of the audio that you put on YouTube videos can be controlled through a setting on DaVinci, which basically there's a subjective loudness level and you can adjust that. And I think mine is set to be too low, and I'm going to set it higher. And I think a lot of influencers who publish to YouTube do that because they can grab attention. It's easy to hear in noisy environments where typically we consume a lot of these videos. So that's that. I'm going to stop now. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you liked this composition, this frame, this lighting, and this video.